But seated in your chair, your couch, your chair, your Barco lounger, your yoga mat, pull up your sacred space. Come on in and sit around the digital fire for a little bit. Put up our hands and warm ourselves with this unique moment where we're all here, all present. I want to thank everyone who's logged himself into that chat room over there, because we are going to be taking questions from the chat, call-ins from those that are able to call in. This will be an open call-in show. We will be running through callers in just a little bit. I want to remind everyone that every Tuesday and Saturday are the call-in shows. The Thursday Living the Mystical Life Daily webcast is the coaching show on the system of the out loud name it to claim it process that is Living the Mystical Life Daily. Also, the next Living the Mystical Life Daily live event will be next year, 2018, in Seattle, Washington. So for those of you who were not able to go last year, the next event is beginning to plan for. Also, in the next month, we're going to be giving you out the Galactic historian Andrew Bartz's schedule that is going to have a lot of events for people to come to, private tool building, specialized retreats where we'll be using the hyperbaric chambers, the flotation tanks, as well as the PEMF devices as part of the Living the Mystical Life experience, where you'll be getting nearly 20 hours of healing modalities to aid you in your mystical experience in a 6-day retreat. For more information, you can contact Debbie at hr@galactichistorian.com. For those of you that are interested, we're also going to be coming up with a mentorship program. For those that were at the live event this past October 5th through the 8th, you are the first ones that were able to sign up to become part of a direct mentorship program for me. So if you'd also like information about the mentorship program, you can contact Debbie at hr@galactichistorian.com. The next thing is we've got stuff going on in our news. Normally I don't talk about the news, or when I do, I call it the Three Stooges effect. So we've recently had a Hollywood sex scandal with Harvey Weinstein, and there's this big kerfuffle that they're trying to talk about the pedophilia rings that are behind there. These rings have existed for thousands of years, long before modern media. Whenever warlords came to town, the boys and girls that went along with them as part of the horror train. And if people don't like those words, that's the truth back then. You know, that forced servitude was a big life for many, many, many people of those eras and generations. Now we have to move beyond that, where we must allow it to be in our awareness, but not allow it to create charge and polarity. In any given week, I get asked the question about abuse at the high levels 40 to 50 times a week, 200 times a month. It gets to the point where I don't want to answer that anymore because of the law of focus. What you focus upon appears in your life over and over and over and over and over and over again. Living the Mystical Life Daily is about finding the positive stuff of growth, but still understanding that the negative, destructive stuff to growth is out there. One must learn how to observe it and not take charge and polarity out of it, how not to recreate it in their life, but to still be proactive for those that are in our greater reality about trying to stop it without becoming zealots or martyrs to causes. So many of the people that call in, they have been zealots or martyrs in previous parts of their life, or still are, and guess what? They don't know how to stop. It gets so destructive for them, they are leading a path of enabling themselves to no longer see who they are, what they are, because they've lost it to the mission of doing something. when in fact the mission is here to experience the ever-present moment of the now, no matter what it is you're doing, to make joy and happiness, uniqueness of frequency out of it, so the greater awareness can be uncovered when you make your set of choices of how you want to function in this placebo-based belief reality. All right, so just take a breath, everyone. I want to bring on our first caller, Robert.
First caller will be Cindy V.
Cindy V, are you there?
Hi, yes, I'm here.
Hi, Cindy. Where are you calling from today?
Hi, I'm from Eagle Pass, Texas.
Welcome, Eagle Pass, Texas, right on the Mexico border. What can I do for you today?
I just have a curious question
Sure.
about the planet Jupiter.
Okay.
I was just wondering, are there like civilizations living there, or like,
Yes,
am I
thousands of
from there?
there are thousands of civilizations living on Jupiter. Now,
Right. I had a reading done more than 2 years ago by a walk-in, and he mentioned something about Jupiterians and how they were assisting me. And I have no clue about that. I was just curious about that.
so are you asking if you're a Jupiterian? Is that what you're asking?
Right. Yes.
It's fair to say you're a Jupiterian, but that doesn't mean you're not an Earther as much as you are a Plutonian or any of the other ones. You've lived on all the planets in this star cluster, and even the ones we don't know about. There's 66 planets in this star cluster. We really only know about 9 of them. So on Jupiter itself are about 7,000 different actual species live on their outer atmosphere, their inner atmosphere, and then their densified atmosphere. So Jupiter is a
What
place of,
exactly do they do?
they live under super high pressure, and they are densified frequencies of light that are going through a different planetary existence process. We live on a light world that is making dense light that makes continents that we have light beings who come to surface on because we're a holograph of matter. The Jupiter world is not a holograph of matter. It's a holograph of gas, and that gas makes up the medium of matter in which things may incarnate in via technology or direct spirituality. So beings that are there in societies are trying to grow into an atmospheric-based being who can channel large volumes of celestial energy back into technology. So Jupiter is one of those particular planets that it's like, it's got so much energy inside it. Trillions of beings could go into its various poles and begin to siphon energy off of it, and it wouldn't make any difference in the mechanics of the planet. So Jupiterians are on, we'll call it the path to power, but not necessarily the negative path. It's how to bring energy in for big creations of light. Because they don't need the pieces, parts, building machines that we do. They have direct manifestation of technology. Whatever they need, they metaphorically snap their fingers, and within a matter of moments, their technology creates what they want, finished and served.
Wow, that's very interesting. So, are they in any way, shape, or form assisting me in my personal growth?
What year were you born?
1986, August 1st.
Have you been having trouble sleeping and something going on with your jaw?
I've had trouble sleeping all my life.
Do you notice if you grind your teeth at night, or that little thing at the
Yeah,
back of your
noticed
throat is very
before.
sore when you wake up?
Yes.
All right, so what's going on is you're having some form of delta sleep interruption going on. Just give me a second to scan. So you've said you've had sleeping issues your whole life.
Yeah, since I can remember.
What are generally happens that wakes you up, or what goes on?
Um, I don't know. I'm just very slow to wake up in the morning. I have to self-talk and self-motivate myself to get up. And then that usually helps me get up. Um, I don't know. It's just
All right. So what I'm
I'm
looking at is a very damaged dream weave. So where did you live growing up?
I lived here in Eagle Pass, Texas.
You've been there your whole life, and that's your whole life there.
I've moved around to the neighboring towns, and then I've come back here to Eagle Pass.
So Eagle Pass is generally a desert with a little bit of cities spotted between it. It's right on the Mexican border.
Yeah,
Um, and there's a lot of truck traffic that goes through there too, isn't there?
yeah, it does.
Like one of the biggest trucking hubs in there.
Mhm.
There are times that when you live in a city like that, there are bigger forms of time travel pollution, and you are an example. And Eagle Pass would be an example of loads of material that are going from point A to point B. When they cross the border, they created a energy resonance frequency that can be harvested. And at times, if they miss the harvesting of certain styles of vehicles, it can create a vortex of time that really is destructive to the local area. And if they don't maintain that border energetically properly, all the people in the surrounding towns begin to suffer timeline aphasia. And you would fall asleep here, and you go into your dream world, and when you try to wake up here, here may have not been here. You may have woke up somewhere else for a little period of time, and then fell back asleep over there and woke up here, and you still weren't sure if it was here.
Yeah, a lot of people here have disruptive sleep patterns, including people in my family.
Right. And this is also where entities who are aware of these time storms or vortexes that come out, they will tend to step in at a time where you don't know where you're at, and then begin to heavily siphon and
Um,
drain energy out of the environment. Now,
yeah, that sounds pretty much right.
you are in the desert in a trucking town, so the amount of entities that come in and out of those trucks is just ginormous.
Mhm.
So it's important that you begin to protect the four corners of your bed, pull out all the contract revocations, grab four crystals that are going to act as the sentinel to the four corners of the bed, read all of them out there with the intention of protecting you while you sleep, while you're waking up, while you're going to sleep, and making sure that your word is being heard into every aspect of that room. The next part is
I
dealing with time itself. Are you a person that uses watches?
No, as a matter of fact, I'm very bad with timing.
Yeah, I figured that. You got to change that. Now, I always tell people to detoxify from Roman numeral time. You actually need to fortify yourself with Roman numeral time.
Okay.
Okay? So if you
Mhm.
don't wear a watch, I want you to start wearing a watch, even if you go buy a $10 cheapo Walmart watch. And I want you to wear that watch for 90 days, 7 days a week. And I want you to watch yourself wanting to take it off and throw it down. And little moments of rage that this thing's on your wrist that you don't want there, that's telling you to be in time.
Yeah, I do get that actually. That's why I don't wear it.
Right. And I want you to write those down. Why can't I be in time? What is using me when I'm not in time? I'm making this as a choice for active 90 days to be aware of what's going on in my time. I'm watching you time. That's why I got a watch to watch you.
Okay.
Okay? And be willing to
Okay,
put
so
out bait to attract watchers. And what is bait? I'm going to do my normal thing. And I'm going to watch like a fisherman to see what comes around me when I'm doing my normal thing. Watch your energies and be willing at a moment's notice to reach into your bag of tricks that is an out loud name it to claim it system to flip the frequencies of energies that are around you. These time vortexes, if you become aware of them, then when they begin to get close to you, you can use words to flip the frequencies, and it'll no longer be a negative experience for you. It can become a very positive experience for you that can heal very much. But you got to be practiced and ready.
right. That's great advice. I will follow your advice on that.
Okay?
See how it turns out.
Yeah. So what other questions do you have?
What other questions do I have? Am I okay, like energy wise? Do I need like a tune up? Should I don't know, do something energetically?
I'll be blunt. You are the perfect person who should be taking the course.
Why is
Practicing because that's what you need in your life. That's what you're not doing. You're not giving yourself truly authentic, sacred discipline time to practice something that's going to be a legacy for your ancient future. Beginning to practice the skills that actually create deep, long, deep changes within yourself.
I will consider that.
Okay?
I heard in the beginning that you're gonna have another
Event, next year.
another event next year.
Yeah,
I will really take it into consideration.
the course is a 6-week course that's available online, and when you get that, you'll able to come to the event too. So consider that. There's also all the free material that's out there. There's 7-10 revocations minimum for you to practice. Have you done the Union and Communion Consciousness Strike?
I do. I have done them, but I don't keep up with the discipline.
There you go. That's why I'm saying the course would do you very good because it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And you just keep working on the beginning, the middle, the end. So it's repetition with illumination. The course is designed to give you the illumination that you're looking for, awareness, why to continue doing the disciplines.
Motivation, I guess.
Well, I want you to think of it this way. Could you walk 45 miles without giving up?
Yeah.
Okay.
I sure would.
Then that's the journey you're looking at. You've got a big backpack with food and water. You can make that 45 miles take as long as you want, or you can walk all day and all night and be done. And that's the level of journey into discipline you have. And once you finish that 40-mile walk, there is another 40-mile walk and another one after that, but you'll be a lot more experienced on how to enjoy the walk. The walk into discipline is literally just a walk. Each day you got to choose your difficulty level.
Right.
Okay.
Okay then. That sounds great advice.
All right, thanks.
I'll go ahead and follow it.
Yeah. All right, thanks a lot, darling. We're going to move on to the next caller.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Next caller.
Next caller will be. I had her here a second ago. Where'd she go?
Vanishing.
Ginger. There we
Ginger. Are you there, Ginger?
Yes. Hello, Andrew. Hello, everyone.
I can barely hear you. Where are you calling from?
Pacific Northwest.
There we go. Good audio's back there. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you. How are you?
Doing great today. What did you want to talk about today?
Well, I found out that I have a syndrome, and when I looked up the meaning of it spiritually, it basically said I had something. There was a blockage in like business,
Uh-huh.
and I was hoping that you could help me with that because I have a lot of talents and I have a real issue with money, and I'm not really sure where that stems from.
All right, so what year were you born?
66.
And what is the last thing you did for a job?
Uh, I was a receptionist at a green concrete maker. They built greenhouses.
All right. So, right from the very beginning of your birth, there's all this buildup in rage and frustration and anger. Unlet go. You're like a pit bull who won't let go of stuff.
Pretty much.
That is what's blocking you from business.
Okay.
Blunt and honest. You have all this abundance there, but you have a need to take, I'll be blunt again, action on people you judge as needing to take action on, when in fact it's just wasting your energy. You've scolded people hundreds of other lifetimes and it never worked. You've dressed people down thousands of other lifetimes and it never worked. You've been the proverbial priest on the mount trying to tell everyone to do right and they don't listen.
Yeah.
So why are you still wasting your energy and storing it as rage?
Well, I didn't know that I was doing that. I did have a hit on that maybe about 4 weeks ago. And I'm really trying to pinpoint it because it is absolutely blocking
It's
me.
in your heart. It's in your heart. You can't pinpoint it any other way than other in your heart. You at some point let that as a form of life, being raging at people. I know it's when you were a teenager. You got to go back to those moments where you let the anger in.
I was pretty quiet as a teenager. I didn't say much.
Sure. Suppressed and pissed.
Yeah, I think that's more like it.
Right. That made a steaming energy inside you, which began seething with hatred because all these other people had better lives than you.
Nah, that's
Ah,
jealousy, isn't it?
and then it turned to, I want to have friends, and every time you're out there, people are blocking you from having friends and being mean to you. Why are they being mean? And then the backstabbing began, where they began backstabbing you, and then it turned to rage that had
Yeah.
nowhere to go until one day the avalanche went down on somebody you didn't want it to go on.
All right, so how do I fix that? I understand that it's rage now, and I know that knowledge is power. And
Claim it back. Like literally at this moment, I, in this ever present moment now,
I, in this ever present moment now,
claim back every moment of rage I have ever had.
Claim back every moment of rage I have ever had.
Every word in vengeance I have ever spoken or written,
Every word of vengeance that I have spoken or written,
I reduce to zero minus infinity the charge and polarity,
I reduce to infinity minus the charge in polarity,
so I may return to my sacred neutral balance.
so that I may return to my sacred neutral balance.
All energy of rage stored inside me,
All energy of rage stored inside of me,
I now transmute and transform
I now transmute and transform
into positive creation, inspiration, and dreams.
into positive inspiration,
Creations and dreams.
creation, and dreams.
Okay? That is a daily, and weekly, and monthly, and yearly habit you have to learn to master. Because
Okay.
every time you went into rage and accepted rage as a way of life is the number of times that you'll probably have to do that as part of a revocation process just to bring you at a balance of how much rage was spent over the last let's say 30 years. Because that's what you're looking at is 30 plus years of being in a rage format.
Yeah, that's pretty correct.
Yeah. So you ain't going to clear this up overnight. You may have moments where you do certain rituals and ceremonies and it feels immensely better. But then there's the next challenge and the next challenge until the next person pisses you off. That is where the greater form of change for you is stopping people from using triggers against you. Most of them don't know your triggers and just say what's on their mind and it pisses you off.
I understand.
So it is internally you who has to have internal dialogues and conversations with your internal programs that are always in argument mode. How often are you in your head and somebody who pissed you off, next time I see them, I'm going to say this to them and this to them and this to them, and I'm going to say this to them, and it's going to piss them off, and then I'm going to say this. Is that what goes on in your brain?
No, I never have the intent of pissing anyone off. I just have to say what I need to say, and that's pretty much
You're
it.
still practicing a conversation. You're practicing a conversation in a rage format, in your internal dialogue. Do you see the relation?
I'm sorry, repeat that?
Do you see the relation of practicing that
Yes.
internal arguments and debates?
Clearly, yes.
That right there is meaning rage is now in your center core frequency, meaning you've
Okay.
allowed it into your heart space. That is one of those things when you see yourself doing it, the I am immediately has to put an end to that.
But how can that be when I don't live a rageful life and I'm not normally pissed off? I'm pretty happy-go-lucky person.
I don't really believe that. I think you are more sad than you really are, because to have this much rage in you, to be seething over at this level, there's a lot of things you are denying in your life.
Well, I've had some trauma recently, and I've lost everything, including my husband. So there's a lot of anger there over the situation because it has to deal with some pretty dark shit. And I'm pretty mad about it.
You got to get over it, otherwise it's going to kill you.
Well, I'm working through that, and I'm doing it as best I can. And
I know you are, and I'm not being hard on you. I'm actually speaking more to the energies that are around you than you. Because
well, I'm angry because I have that energy around me because that's not my heart.
But that's your creation energy.
I understand that.
Every moment that you've had that debate in your mind about I'm going to tell this person this, or I'm going to make this my final words to this person, whatever internal debates, you are enforcing a bubble of energy around you that is still rage based. Okay? You have to begin to dispel your weave. This is where being a magical practitioner of the self, you've got to look at the home and the space and the car that you're in and unravel the rage weave, literally. So you don't have to sit in it every day.
Okay.
Okay? You know, you can look at your bedroom and just reach in there with your hands and pull off all the webs from the corners and take them outside. Use the sage to bring back to zero, to clear out all the negative webs that you created. And yes, other people are co-creators with that, but it's rage is love gone awry, where two beings can't figure out how to function together, even though they're both still using a form of love. Now, no matter how positive or charged, it doesn't matter. It's not being expressed, and it becomes a distortion. You've got to clear these distortions out of the resonant frequency of your environment, knowing full well you will produce a little more here and there, here and there. This is that balance you're talking about, where you say you're pretty good, but you never got a chance to clean up the weaves of all the other times when you weren't good.
Yeah. True.
Okay?
I agree, yes.
Clean the energy environment of your home, your car, your work, whatever it is, your email. The other day I saw somebody with 32,000 emails on their phone. If you're
I
one of
have
those
10.
people, get rid of those emails.
Oh, I start doing it and I get distracted.
Okay?
Yes. I have one more question if you don't mind.
Sure.
Maybe two. One, I have this thing with like weather. I see sylphs, I can film them, that kind of thing. I also uh have a thing with lightning. So I was wondering if you could expunge on that a little bit. And the last question is that you spoke about telepathy in the workshop,
Uh-huh.
and I only caught bits and pieces of that. And I was wondering if you could go and if you could re-elaborate a little or just restate it again and maybe elaborate just a little bit,
So
please.
in the workshop for telepathy, I was referring to what it takes to learn it through the throat chakra is the determination of through the out loud name it to claim it system of claiming back the power of the throat chakra is the first step in understanding how to create empathic telepathy where you can pass on emotions. We can receive emotions through our empathy nodes, but for telepathy to be engaged at the synaptic to mind level without words being spoken, the throat chakras still have to be in a harmonious union of creation. And it's linked to a bigger conversation with telepathy. And what was the first part of your question?
The first part was I have a real thing with weather. I am Native
Weather.
American.
Yeah. So weather is one of those things that we all come in with a contract that we could be outstandingly good at if we chose. Now, does that mean for you to become a weather person? It
No.
could be, but this is a modern age where are you doing it for an audience or are you doing it for yourself? The weather, for my opinion, related to you should be a personal experience of spirituality, not
Yes.
something you're really going to want to share to the common lay people with a cell phone camera, making money or making a personality out of it. That is not going to serve you in any way, shape, or form. It's your personal companionships and relationships that you can learn how to let go of rage.
Okay.
Okay? Allow them to begin to heal you. The thunder and the lightning are some of the most powerful healing things. But you also got to trust.
That's hard.
Well, that's
I
the
mean, I
opposite
trust
side of
myself.
rage.
That's about it.
That's the opposite side of rage. You have no one to trust. And you don't even fully trust yourself.
That's not true. I trust myself wholly.
I would beg to differ. You wouldn't have so much rage if you didn't. I've done
Now, could
10,000
the rage come from like genetic bloodline?
choice. You chose
What
rage.
if I made the choice to clear the bloodline? Would that?
It's not the
Oh,
bloodline. It's you made a choice.
okay.
So I've read 10,000 plus people publicly in 5 years, maybe 6 years. I
Mhm.
see these common patterns of rage choice, partially because other lifetimes rage occurred because of war, death, famine, all this other stuff, or not being heard at a time where religion was stifling other personalities.
Mhm.
And so, yes, you have some form of lineage energy there, but that's more rebel than it is rage.
Right. Okay.
Okay. And growing up, it's very easy to misunderstand the rebel frequency coming through you and it end up being rage. If you truly trusted yourself, you wouldn't be at this level of rage. And this goes for everyone else out there. If you have rage like this or greater, there's a part of you that doesn't trust yourself for love.
I
And that
think
would
that's
go,
why I reached out is because I don't know what to do with it. And I've never been like this before, and I don't know really what's going on. My whole life is different, and I hate it. I mean, that's a terrible word to say, but I mean, I really do not care for it. I'm Pollyanna, bubbles and rainbows and unicorns, and this is just
Yeah, but you got to realize part of living the singularity as the duality here is to know the harshness of the place so that you pull yourself up by your bootstraps and make something valuable and meaningful to the memories that you're creating so you make a legacy for the ancient soul that's inside you. If you want to activate that native blood, that's what it's going to tell you. Make a goddamn legacy for the future generations, or get the
It's
hell out of the
already
soul
told
family.
me that. I'm just trying to figure out how to do it.
The first thing is you let go of rage and you get happy, just like you were just laughing right there. It is a choice.
I hear you. I hear
Okay?
you.
It is a choice.
I hear you, Andrew.
Okay? Literally, that's what the native blood is telling so many out there. Make a lasting legacy change or get the hell out of the lineage. Okay?
Yes.
But those lineages do that for a reason, because they are trying to get the most potent and powerful souls who have the ability to communicate to the ancestors, living and non-living, a way of sacredity that we can all communicate together. That's one of the reasons I'm born. I translate into English, but there's also the unseen communication. Let me tell you something. For you to be at that level of rage, some of your ancestors have been really working overtime, working your ass up. Okay? Put chess moving, all this shit to be around you. Let's see what happens to her now.
That's exactly what it feels like.
And that's the trailer trash soul family. Okay? That's the meth head soul families that ruin every Christmas dinner. Only you can cut them out of lifetime to lifetime and say no more.
Got it.
And another little harsh thing, there will be those ancestors who see you as that version of trailer trash because you were in such rage.
Mm-hmm.
And when you change your rage, there will be a great reckoning to their judgment, just like there was a great reckoning to your own judgment. And you will get a whole new level of ancestral communications when you let go of this rage at the deepest core, and it'll stop allowing love to be a distortion of rage.
Got it, Andrew.
Now, one more thing. I know reality is really challenging you right now, and I really get that. Do you have any comedy clubs around you?
Andrew, shut the hell up. I have been being pushed spiritually to start doing comedy because I've been told I'm actually pretty funny.
Well, get your ass on stage, and you can tell your inner programs I said to do it. I mean, this is where you can get your rage to channel out, all right?
Okay.
Okay, and transmuting it into comedy. Even if you got to call it the swearing hour.
That's where the swearing comes from, huh? Because I don't do that.
Make it your rated XXX hour, whatever it is that you want to say. Okay?
I hear you, Andrew. Thank you.
Okay? So first thing first is put your toe inside a comedy club, let them make you laugh, and then find an open mic night and get your ass up there. Okay? And here's a visualization for you. A big hot ember coal from a sacred fire is right inside your ass.
Ow.
There you go. Get up and go.
I've actually had one burn my ass. I don't like that.
Then keep on moving.
Gone.
Exactly.
All right. Awesome. Thank you very much.
You are welcome. All right, darling. Thanks a lot for calling in.
You too. Be blessed. And I appreciate everything you do. And your service is absolutely a blessing.
All right. Thanks, darling.
You're welcome.
Let's
Bye.
move on to the next caller.
Okay, next caller is Louise from Copenhagen.
Louise from Copenhagen. Are you there?
Yeah.
How are you doing today?
Okay. I actually decided not to join, but the former caller Ginger asked a question that I was curious about, and I wanted to ask you about
Sure. What about
weather.
weather? What about weather?
How to practice my skills
Very
if I need someone to help me, but it's not the feeling I've got about it, but I'm also afraid to make damage.
Well, first thing first, it's not you're not going to damage the weather. That's what you got to trust. Nature is giant and magnificent, and we are a God source spark that can affect that weather for the greater change, and yes, lesser change in some scenarios, but we are not going to screw it up to the point that it destroys itself. Okay? That takes a collective of beings to do that.
Okay, but the surroundings also.
So this is where you've got to understand the sacred neutral point of view. When you observe everything neutrality without charge and polarity, there's a natural flow of information and life force that keeps the balance going. And that's what weather is. The way the collective and the uncollective communicate to each other through the exchange of moisture or programmed water.
Yeah.
Okay?
How should that be moved when you talk about programmed water? That fascinated me. We talked about, I think, the North Pole. And the ice, and
so all that water is programmed. All that water in the ice is programmed from different eras of light. So when the glaciers begin to melt, old programs of old waters begin to be released into the atmosphere that then become thunderstorms and snowstorms, and water's redistributed all around the globe, and that redistribution is redistribution of programmed water, while we ultimately still programming the water that's around us. When we take ourselves as the mystical being that we are, and we are in a mystical state, we are programming our own waters and the waters that are in our immediate auric environment. When one works with the weather, they are working and affecting water in a vaporous form in some form of time-space that represents a weather pattern, in which that weather pattern is going to be moving like a sea of consciousness in which you are in, and able to perceive inside that sea of consciousness streams of other consciousnesses that come together and form elemental storm cloud beings who create the lightning beings or the vortexes for the lightning beings to exchange energy between the sky and the earth. And the exchange of energy between the sky and the earth is the mystical connection that all weather shamans are searching for. For when they get within the flow, they have the perfect superluminal lightning's thinking, in which they can act 1 trillion times faster, react 1 trillion times faster, create and uncreate things at will with the sheer force of Mother Earth working through them in the lightning.
Yeah, and should that work together with her womb chakras?
Sort of. Now, the womb chakras are an ancestral process of deep companionship and connection to them. And if one does not maintain companionship and connection to them, weather issues will come and clear those processes. That's why many of the womb chakras are around the equator points, above and below the equator points.
Yeah.
So womb chakra is more ancestral. The weather is the current energies. It's the living beings of the now. And yes, they may be in a different frequency of time and not have bodies, but they're still now-based beings.
Okay.
Working on an agenda.
And I should just follow what is shown to me. And what my body tells me.
You need to ritualize it. So if you know there are storms that you want to work with, or events that you feel are coming together, how your guides and guardians, you need to ritualize and record before the experience happens? Because deep down in your gut, you know when something's happening, right?
Yeah, it took me by surprise some years ago. I grew up in a lot of thunder, and I missed it. And then I just were told that you can do this, just draw it in.
Yeah.
And I worked with a whole lot of energy. It was really amazing, but no thunder came. But instead, a storm. Our little country haven't seen in, I think, decades. Just and we're coastline. Yeah, flooded all our coasts.
Is that from Hurricane Ophelia?
No. It's not hurricanes. It's only storm.
Storm, okay. Well, I know Ireland got hit by a rare North Atlantic hurricane just a few days ago.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So,
But it was because of that it scared me. And then when I sit by the ocean and look at it and draw some energy, the waves just start coming in.
yep. Which is more storm-based energy, the storm surge itself. So this is where I'm saying you need to begin to ritualize and learn how to recharge your batteries, even though you're going to be expending energy as part of a ritual or ceremony or connection or anything. You need to learn how to store vast sums of energy.
Yeah.
It's very important that you learn.
I felt my body wasn't updated enough. I couldn't hold the energy
Right.
I had or have on the other side with me.
Right. And that's why you got to learn to build it up in this reality. That's why you are being exposed to storms. If you're going to command that amount of energy and raw power and flow with it, you got to learn to hold it in the body and not have the body cause damage.
Yeah. But I didn't get physically ill.
That's good. I mean, your body's healthy enough. You need to learn to channel this energy literally into, let's say, the first few minutes your feet, the next few minutes both of your calves, the next few minutes both of your legs and buttocks, and then to channel it into each of your chakra points, down your arms, until you've saturated every cellular structure of your body, all the mitochondrial inside the DNA, all the power plants that are inside every cell, to completely be recharged with this frequency. And you got to make it a challenging, visual guided meditation of you opening up your inner core frequencies to this flow, to store that energy, to know its frequency, and so it doesn't cause damage or harm to you.
Yeah. But I don't feel that. I feel that I just moved underneath a great big tree, and that makes me, when we melt together, I get the sick nausea feeling. But I don't feel that with the weather.
No, because that's your next.
I just feel like my body isn't enough.
Yeah, well, you got to realize that you are in a body and it is enough. You just got to learn how to not be up there and channel what's up there to down here, because that's the manifestation you're supposed to make. If you're going to change this world, you're not going to do it up in the clouds. Okay?
No.
You're going to do it here. Yeah. You're going to take what the clouds are saying and you're going to translate them into words.
Yeah, that's my tough point.
Okay.
With words.
Yeah. Power of the words. Out loud, name it to claim it system, even inside the storm cloud systems.
Yeah. You hit a point there. I lost about 70% of my vocabulary. I think 6 years back, and I've been building it up. Now I moved on to English. I've got my own language, almost as good as it was, but it's a challenge.
You'll get it back. It's just a matter of making it fun enough so the body makes new synaptic pathways that allow faster learning, greater retention. It'll be through that joy that you reclaim that, as well as taking the energy from the storm clouds and putting that into your new patterning of language. Transmute that energy.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe I need to be more straightforward with the way I communicate.
That and other, yeah, that would be a very good way.
Yeah.
All right, darling,
when
I gotta move on to
Yeah,
the next caller.
thank
Thank you so
so
much. Yep. I forgot my drink. All right. And who is our next caller?
Next caller is from South Dakota, Sioux Falls area.
Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Are you there? Hello. Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Are you there? I think you can unmute. I think you can unmute. That's hitting a button. That's not unmuting.
Hello?
Hello, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Is that you?
I thought there had to be another one. I thought there was no way that was me. Okay,
No,
sorry.
that is you. What is your name?
Michelle.
Hi, Michelle. How you doing today?
Oh, I'm so good. I'm really enjoying the women power that I've been listening to. Lately, all your shows have been a lot of women, and I think that's really fun.
Yeah, sometimes, I was talking with Robert the other day. We had a show 2 Saturdays ago. It was all men, and it's the wheel of callers. What comes through, what comes through. So what did you want to talk about today?
Oh, okay. Well, I've been very curious about a couple of things. Just very curious your point of view on it. Moles. Lately, I've been getting a lot of new moles, and I was curious if there's anything to that, like in general with everybody or me particularly.
So moles, like underground moles, MOLEs, they dig holes in your ground?
No, like on your body.
Moles. Okay, those type of moles.
Yep.
Those are generally damage to the timeline, though they can be genetic timeline rifts, so that an external force can recognize through the mole and the encoding of the mole of what it means, what type of frequency being might be in DNA skin suits. It has many representations.
What if you have a lot? What is
What, like more than 3?
more than like 10?
Is that the scenario you're in? You have more than 10 moles?
Oh yeah, definitely. And there's a couple on my face that have just all of a sudden appeared this last year.
You need to go to the doctor and find out why they're appearing immediately.
Oh, okay.
So
Interesting.
moles can become cancer in a moment. Literally, in a moment.
One moment. Okay.
Okay? So a mole can start from a ingrown hair follicle that doesn't get infected, but keeps trying to grow, and it pierces the cell wall, and then the hair follicle dies off, and a little cyst is grown around it. And then the cyst doesn't know how to stop growing because the cellular structures around it are still trying to give it energy to tell it to grow like a piece of hair, even though the follicle is dead. That's what creates the mole going over and over in its growthing process. Now, other times, moles are little wounds that keep happening over and over and over in the same space. A lot of people that shave early on have an issue, or they get a mole, or the mole just begins to grow there because a little tiny, blackhead or zit was there, and it got a little tiny infected, and then the body encased it in energy, and it never got cleared out. Now, when you're having moles on your back and other places like that, that is a skin growthing issue. Now, that comes from many different perspectives. How fast the skin grow and why moles are there can indicate a place where an entity was feeding on you, or that it was a wound from a past life, and the body needed a way of manifestation so that if you ever went into your internal processes and saw this mole in that particular area, you could make the relation in pattern recognition that there was a wound from a past life in that place that needed to be healed.
Very cool.
And if
And
you
I
have
have,
moles showing up all over your body, especially on your face, it's very important you go to see the doctor.
okay, because when you spoke, I thought they were pimples and I treated them like I would anything else, but then it just seemed to turn into something else. And I was like, and then now it's moles.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
I'll get it checked out. And then how about my boys? As they grow up, they're starting to have moles here and there too. Not, I'd say probably 2 on each of them.
I don't think it's anything to be worried about right away, as long as they don't look infected, pussy, or growing very fast on the young boys. You always want to point them out to the doctor because they will know much better than a mother's eyes the signs if something is malignant but not cancerous. Sometimes malignant moles need to be moved because they're just going to grow too fast. They're just going to keep growing over year after year, and you don't want the under part of the mole, which isn't showing, to get big. Otherwise, you're going to have this big vacuous space where hunks of your flesh have to be taken out.
Okay. Cool. I never would have thought that, but that's why I feel blessed to be able to ask you this.
Yeah.
Now, how about this one? Peanut butter. Why is peanut butter starting to be banned in places compared to lots of other allergies that people may have?
Because the peanut butter
with that?
industry is one of the most dirtiest industries out there. They add stuff to their peanut butter that makes it as addicting as crack cocaine.
Okay, so the schools are banning it for more than just allergies, or like this, lots of different places I noticed are just peanut free or
Because it's not a
more than
healthy
allergies.
it's not a healthy lunch, and in any way, shape, or form. Mom's peanut butter and jelly is not a healthy lunch. It is not. It is sugar and jam and peanuts on carb.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay?
Okay, interesting.
And it might have a piece of celery and a carrot next to it, but it's still sugar and carbs.
Right, right. No, I get you. Absolutely.
Okay?
Okay. Oh, I love it. And if we have time, my husband's going through some health issues right now with his brain, and we have a lot of decisions to make. Is there any way that you feel we should head towards?
And what's going on with his brain?
He actually has AVM. It's a condition that we didn't even know he had, but he was actually born with, and it's an entanglement within the brain of the veins. And he ended up getting a head injury, and they had to do a scan of his head, and we found that there is this AVM within there.
What does ADM mean?
It's, shoot, I'm not good on that kind of stuff, but it has to do, let me see if I can find the paperwork, with the vessels within his brain that did not form correctly when he was born.
ADM.
The paper is right here. So the brain didn't form correctly with the vessels, and it's something that the doctor said they can live with it and be okay, but they are, suggesting brain surgery. And
All right, so what was his brain injury that he had?
he actually fell off a ladder and hit his head.
And how long ago was that?
This was actually a few years ago that this happened, and they found it in his head. But then we did end up with a headache the other day, and we didn't know if it was related or not. So the issue's been brought up again. And doctors right away just want to do surgery, but when we have looked into it, it's very risky.
Yeah, yeah. So these doctors are gamblers. They don't really know much about this. So my recipe for wellness here is an understanding that he still has to recover from the injury. So I'm scanning him, and you can tell that the muscles around the back of his skull and the top of his head haven't let down. The fascia around his face is super tight. And then this diagnosis has created anxiety with him of uncertainty, which has shut down the back of his mastoid bone, which is pinching the atlas and the axis at the back of the neck, which is causing all his whole posture and his whole body to be off.
Okay.
So he is stressed out. He needs to go on stress relief, needs to get a stress ball, learn stress relief techniques, and then needs to seek someone that can do a significant body work down on him. Cranial sacral work to release the pressure on the skull, on the sagittal suture lines, on the atlas and the axis. It would probably be a very good idea for him to see a chiropractor, and I rarely ever tell anyone to go see a chiropractor. So his upper atlas and axis and lower atlas and axis can be cracked and readjusted so that the swelling that's still bound up from his accident and the anxiety that's enforced onto that can come out of the tissue, because there's a tissue trauma there. And then the addressing of the AVM, which is the size of the vascular constriction issues that are going on in there. I believe with just hyperbaric chambers alone, he can not only heal that process, but have a way better understanding of how to release his stress. A hyperbaric chamber is going to put oxygen under 4 times the pressure. And that means every breath you take, every time that every cell, blood cell will be carrying 4 times the amount of oxygen under dense pressure. And when you add oxygen to the body, it goes to the detox and begins to regenerate different areas of the body. And I believe that he could regenerate whatever damage was from the accident that caused whatever vascular restriction that they may be thinking is this AVM.
Interesting. So you don't think he was born with it?
No.
I found the paper here. It's arteriovenous malformation.
Right. I think the doctor's belief has enforced it on him. Because they really don't know what's wrong with him. They really don't.
I mean, I felt like the same thing. I mean, they literally told us, you're going to stay at the hospital, we're going to do these tests, and we're going to ship you up to Mayo to get surgery. And we're like, whoa, like.
Right, as if you didn't even exist in, as if you didn't even exist in the choices there. That's why I'm saying I think this doctor is enforcing a belief on someone. He's accepting it. You know, doctors do this. It's not all doctors. This particular doctor is a gambler. Okay? I'm not knocking. I'm not knocking.
I got to ask because I definitely felt like it was not right, but they definitely in the hospital make you. I mean, he literally was like, "So you're not going to take my medical advice?" And I was like,
"Yeah,
you need to go home and sleep on it." Like,
right.
I didn't feel like exactly what you said. I just didn't feel like he knew, or I don't know. I just knew in my heart it wasn't right. So I'm so glad I got to ask.
You always get the right of a second and third opinion. And if anyone that's out there and a doctor's using strong arm scare tactics to you, you look them in your eye and say, I am reserving my right to get a second, a third, and a fourth opinion. You do not own me and you do not run me right now. More doctors have pushed people into surgeries that have killed them than we want to know about. And any doctors out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The ones that are in it for the money and don't really give a crap about that patient.
The business to them. Yep,
Exactly.
I agree. Yes, absolutely. And
Greed.
most people are in that survival mode, so they take it and they're like, "Oh my God!"
Right.
You know, and we weren't at all. We were very, very censored in how we felt about it, and oh gosh, this is amazing.
You are entitled to a second, a third, and a fourth opinion. Do not allow them to force you decisions right then and there. And at times they like to give you all this psycho mumble jumbo stuff that says if you don't do it right now, you're going to die in an hour. And an hour passes and you're not dead. Okay?
Or
This is
teeth.
where people have to have pre-prepared conversations for their doctors. Like after they say something very profound to you, you say something profound. Are you a gambler? Do you gamble, doctor? Do you bet? This is my life. I'm not betting or gambling or using your medical guesstimations here. My life is on the line, not yours. Okay? You got to get to the person inside there and help them understand that bedside manner means something in this modern industry. None of this stuff would be going on if doctors in general over the last 30 years truly respected the patients.
That's why when you told me I had to go to the doctor, I was kind of bummed. I'm like, oh, I have to go through all that. But if I set my intentions and do my research before I go get my mouth checked out, it can be different, you know?
Exactly. And I often say to people, go to the doctor because they are necessary in this modern world. Do you know how many people call me and they have had bronchitis for 2 or 3 weeks and refuse to go get an antibiotic? And the first thing I go is, dumbass, get the antibiotic or you're going to die.
Right. No, I
Okay.
agree. And of course, for broken bones and things like that, they are so important, you know, and I totally get that.
As
That's
well
why it was
as
so hard for me to say
right.
no to
As well as
because
the
I valued
checkup,
what he had to say.
as well as the standard checkups where you do go in and get your physical done. Okay? And then all the other things that the medicine does, the medical doctors do beyond the vaccinations and stuff like that, they do provide an incredibly potent service of learning about the body and educating people about the body, dietary stuff, all that. We need those minds. We just need them unrestricted, where they can be passionate about what it is that they do and not be restricted by drug companies to say you can't talk about another product, only ours.
Yep.
Right?
Yep, and they're
When the
just taught
truth
how they're taught.
right, when the truth comes out on the cancer industry, what doctors are making and how often they're prescribing chemo that was never necessary. Oh, it's going to infuriate people when that truth comes out. Infuriate.
I mean, look how they even found chemo. I mean, you do your history and how they found it. I mean, that was enough for me.
Right.
You know?
Right.
That's crazy.
Right.
When I was listening, I was really triggered, or whatever you want to say, when you talked to that girl about that ancestral stuff.
Yeah.
And how, okay, now they're going to throw this in your way, and how are you going to handle this? Me and my group of women that I talk to that talk about you and your stuff, those are the questions that, with the peanut butter and stuff too, like we feel like there's more behind it, but we don't know. But this ancestral stuff, especially in our area, is huge, I think. So, you know, what would happen in a moment that we know it's that, and how can we handle it?
Acknowledging the ancestors that they exist is the first thing. The second thing is begin to make offerings. If you were invited to a friend's house and have a party, it's generally you bring a gift, right? You need to give gifts to the ancestors because they have been giving gifts to you for a very long time. Oftentimes, we never open these gifts up. So a gift can literally be a pot of soup that you boiled on your own stove, that you put your time, effort, and energy in, and that you share with them by spreading it around your yard or your land. You can one-up that where you begin to put philosophical and ideological thoughts of generational growth, where you talk about what it was like for you to be growing up in your generation and how hard it must have been for the ancestors in their generations when they didn't have the wheel or fire or the ability to make metal objects. They didn't have airplanes and cell phones. They had smoke signals and ayahuasca. Okay? Acknowledge them that they exist. Begin to willing to share your story, who you are this lifetime, what you've done this lifetime, and what your goals are to help change this world without becoming a zealot or martyr. That's basic ancestral balance. The next level of ancestral balance is understanding the ancestors are always shuffling debt around. You've got to make a determination. What is your debt? And what is the debt of the ancestors? We're getting into a high
Just
frequency
being in a
here.
quiet.
Yeah.
I'm loving it. So just sitting here and just talking to him like a prayer is enough. Then that's okay.
That's a prayer, yeah. That's the baby steps. And then you want to make companionships with them. You know, you don't want to know about their aunties and uncles and grandmothers and stuff like that. You want to know who they are. What makes you an ancestor of communication ability? What do you do on the other side? Got to learn who they are and how they fit into the structure that's the unseen world. So they can learn who you are and how you fit into the structure of the seen world. So they can make synchronicities. That's why they're there.
Oh, like the sharing of knowledge, the sharing of experiences, right?
Yes.
Oh, I feel it. It's so powerful.
Right.
I feel like it's ancient and old.
Right. And then when your period, for women, when your period comes, you have the grandmother energy that's always around there, waiting to put a shawl over your shoulders and someone to talk to spiritually that shall never betray you. Okay?
Yeah, I love it. I love hearing your stuff. Anything that you're feeling right now at the period, because I definitely feel more powerful on it. And I am that new moon person that gets it right around that time, and I feel different, so different on it, and more connected.
Yep.
So it's like you said, the shawl thing. So again, just embracing that ancestralhood of
Yep.
that.
Yeah. And maybe making your own shawl and call it your letdown shawl. You know, it's just a triangle piece of cloth that you want to adorn and bedazzle as yours of this lifetime.
I mean, are we extra powerful as women during that time?
Yes, absolutely.
Ah,
But you got to learn how to use it. During that time is by design a recalling of the energy you've spent that month, that year, that decade. It is where hindsight becomes mystical foresight if you just engage the hindsight during that moon cycle time on a regular basis and build that skill set of hindsight to foresight.
okay.
Going into the womb in itself and see yourself as a fetus inside your own womb.
I do that, and that feels really good.
Yeah.
Like,
Create in
God,
there.
feels really good.
Create a 40-acre estate that has castles and buildings and shops and people to learn from. Forests and rivers and waterfalls and butterflies and herds of unicorns.
Aw. Oh, I love it. You're so good with women. I love it. I don't feel like there's a lot of spiritual guys out there who get to speak. You know?
No.
I really appreciate
There-
that you're
there are a
able
few
to do it.
a few shamans who can go down the sacred neutral rainbow butterfly waterfall, you know, dragonfly energy, and impart the sacred feminine women's moon time to them.
And I know, like, what do you do when you're driving your car and the fly lands on your windshield? I mean, I never want to take away from those moments, but I'm very
I laugh.
close to birds, butterflies.
I laugh when
Yeah.
the fly hits, because the last thing that it was on his mind was his ass. But chink. At
I
other
just
at
wonder,
other
I mean,
times,
do you honor every little insect?
no,
that
no,
comes
no,
in your way?
no,
Okay, no.
no.
And
That's
fine.
zealotry. If you think you have to zealotry and martyrship, if you think you have to honor everything. One of my little speeches at the event was, as I'm walking around the stage, how many dust mites do you think I've killed? 1,500, 5,000? If I worried about the dust mites, I would have never gone on stage. They're part of the great food chain of life. And as long as I recognize everything in my prayers, I'm not ignoring the dust mites or the things that I may accidentally, in unawareness, kill. Because I sit down and on a spider that was underneath the cushion of my couch and he got smushed. Okay? Or if your cat gets fleas and you got to spray the cat so the fleas die off. That's owning your environment. As long as you don't go down the zealotry and martyrship of having to think you have to suffer and pray for everything. It's about acknowledge everything as a right to live in your reality, and you give it that rights, duty, and responsibility through your cyclical prayer process. And then acknowledge that the predator-prey network does exist, and that for every predator, there is a prey that's contracted that predator to be there. That includes us. Driving a car, and a bug hits our window.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I figured you did that. I just didn't know, And I definitely feel like certain insects or animals just are really there for a sign and a purpose, and
Sure.
it saves me sometimes because I get so sad about this world, and then all of a sudden a butterfly is waiting on my car door, and it's just like, oh, thank you.
There
I
you
needed
go.
that today.
Yeah.
Oh, and Blue Jays and Cardinals, I mean, they're like, yes, that's how I see them for sure. They always show up right when I need it.
That's right. So what other kind of questions you want to ask?
Oh my gosh, okay. So dreams, Andrew. I know you talk about them a lot, but one thing that you mentioned is the lucid dream stuff.
Uh-huh.
So now you were in one of my dreams, and it was amazing. You made me this homemade card, out of construction paper, and you were waiting for me at a school. And then I opened the card, and it had all these. When you opened the card, it was active, and a spiral happened with a heart in it. But there were all these individual construction paper, like a kid's. It wasn't perfect or anything. But that was awesome. And it was in the dream. I woke up so happy, and there was so much more I could say about it. But that was awesome.
I gave you
But
a
one thing
pop-up
about-
card in the dream. Nice.
Yeah, a homemade one. You construction papered it and everything. But in my dreams now, I am recognizing, it's me. And I get my human thoughts, but then I'm back in the dream, and then I remember it's a dream, then I can't remember it's a dream. Does that make any sense? Then
Yes,
I
it
have
does.
the false awakening.
No, it's not
What-
false
is there
awakening. More like yawning in the dream, and you're not sure if you want to stay dreaming or dream a different dream or wake up from that dream and live in this dream. This is all a dream. Me dreaming you, you dreaming me, and the Earth Mother dreaming all of us before we realized dream was a potential. So when it comes to dreams,
Okay.
you just have to, for not hitting cliche sake here, you have to be more willing to write down even the most subtle nuances of the dreams. You got to have a recorder next to your bed where you can just grab it and hit record and start talking to it, half awake and half asleep. I tell people to do this, and the biggest thing you can prove to yourself is you pull that recorder up, you're laying back on the bed, you let yourself fall asleep, and you still talk and talk and talk and talk. And then you go back and listen, and you don't actually hear anything on your recorder because you've gone back into the dream state, continuing to talk. Every now and then you may hear yourself mumble. We all have this ability to continue a dream. We've all had it since kids where we woke up in a dream, before we had to go to school, and screw it, I'm going back to sleep to finish this dream. Anyone can do that at any moment in time. And if you begin to engage that recorder and have energy like you've put on the recorder, I tell people to bless their recorder with special energies. You will grab this recorder in the middle of the dream state. It'll empower your hand to hit the record button and bring energy to your mind, body, and spirit to not disrupt the dream, but allow you to record it so you can begin to have samples from the other side. Bless the shit out of that recorder.
And then after you record it, you listen to it?
Yes.
Or is that enough just to record it? Just listen to it, and then
Listen
somehow it
to
can
it,
help
right.
unlock things?
Yep.
Okay. Because I have them every night. I mean, last night I was rocking a chimpanzee and looking at this baby turtle, and every night it's interesting, and I don't know what to think or feel.
You got to start chronicling.
But I know it's something.
You got to chronicle them. Because as you begin to chronicle them, you'll begin to notice the patterns that could only be seen if you make a manifestation of chronicling in this reality.
all that work that we're doing in the dream world does affect us in this human world.
Yep. And when you start chronicling it, it makes a direct manifestation in here, in you as a memory. It becomes real here now. As you have done it, the dreaming body has made a manifestation in this dream world from another dreaming body.
Why does the dream always, like that day that I met you at the school, I already was planning on going to school in the morning early to bring my son there. Why does that intermix then? Just to be more comfortable in the dream?
Sort
That
of.
happens a lot.
That just may have been how your dreaming body was scheduling the experience. Okay?
And it's like that synchronicity again?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I don't know why.
Yeah.
But it explains a lot because it happens a lot. Because I'm always like, well, I was thinking about, doing this. I mean, why was that in my dream then? But they know ahead and they're able and it's all together. Wow, okay. Thank you. Oh, it's very helpful. So just the chronicle, just listen to it and it will help me.
That's right. And start writing it down.
I can overthink it and I can look up in all the dictionary.
That's right.
Dream books. That too? Okay.
That's
I do
right.
that all the time. Awesome. And I don't know what it means sometimes, but it does feel good. It's like seeing those birds and stuff. It's like, okay, yes, okay. I don't know how this is helpful, but somehow it's helpful.
That's right.
Oh,
So any
oh,
last
okay.
questions you want to
Okay.
ask?
Well, since you said I could, I'm looking at a hawk feather that he dropped one day, and then a couple days later it was still in the spot, so I braved the interstate intersection and went and collected this hawk feather. Very beautiful, and I love feathers. Anything that I should know about it?
Make sure there's no mites on the feather. Treat the
Okay.
feather.
What?
Treat the
Treat it?
feather. There is stuff that if you're going to preserve the feather, you have to treat it. So you can just get up online how to treat feathers, how to remove dust mites from feathers, so on and so forth. Because you want it to last, because it is a gift.
Yes.
Now the next thing is feathers represent the wind energy. And you got to begin to learn to use the wind energy in a different way, in a different style. And use that feather as like on a whipping action. You might have seen me do it like this. And you will find certain ways that this feather can make figure eights and certain patterns that are natural to the leading edge and the tip of the feather. Learn that feather and its action of energy and how it cuts through the air, because that will become a very powerful tool of energy manifestation when you use that feather, so your mind extends from the tips of your fingers to the end of the feather to send energy out, or to cut energy in a particular area.
Okay. I know exactly what you mean, because when I sage and stuff, I do feel that flow.
Yeah.
Of course that would be it. Of course, they're up there flying, and that's what the feathers are for, but I never would have thought of that.
That's right.
I love that. Okay, amazing.
The ancestors just gave you a fan for your fire and for your sage. That's some smart ancestors right there.
And it's for manifesting anything, right? I can use that wind energy for anything, or
Yep.
something particularly? Okay.
Yep.
And do you think the soup with the bone thing would be a good thing for me that I've heard you talk to tell
Yes,
the story
the
too,
actual
for that
full,
ancestral stuff?
the actual full-on ancestral soup, where you tell your whole story to that soup, as a pay-it-forward lesson to all ancestors who could learn from your story.
And then that will stop them from trying to mess with us or keep throwing things
It'll
at us.
change the way they deal with you. Yes, they'll stop throwing the rotten vegetables.
Okay, because I feel that too, and me and my girlfriends talk about it. It just seems like sometimes we don't get a break; it all happens right in a row.
Yeah.
But I feel like that will work. I get it. I get what you're saying. They want to be heard too and shared, and we're all in this together.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Oh, you're so amazing. Thank you so much. I had no clue I was going to get on, but hey, I call in to listen because I can't use data. So I like to just call and listen. So this is fabulous. Very appreciative. Thank you. And with the whole laughter thing, I don't know if they're able to make your laughter like a ringtone, but that would be really cool.
Make my laughter into ringtones. Robert, let's add that
Yep.
to the list. 99-cent download, my laughter. Ha 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 ha.
Oh, well, that one wasn't the one I liked, but you have a genuine laugh that you do just naturally, and I love it. Like if I hear it, it just okay, yep.
That's a
Go
$1
to
million
that place.
idea.
That's what $1 million
And
laughter.
yeah, you got your whole tech crew.
All right.
Yeah, I just
All right,
love
it's
it.
on the list. As well as auto tuning some of my shows so I sound like I'm in a boy band with all the teachings. That was something else somebody suggested a while back that we are working on. We're going to auto tune one of my shows.
It's so cute. Oh, I'll watch it. That's hilarious. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so appreciative, and I'm so grateful for all the women that have been calling in too. Every question helps me too, definitely.
Everyone is a teacher in every moment of time, and that's why I do these call-in shows, to help people learn from the deepest parts of themselves what they need to change or not, or what they're doing right. Sometimes people don't realize they're doing the right thing. They just don't see the validation.
Well, this world is hard, and when you have a lot coming at you, it's so hard to see your truth at times. You know, that's what I find.
That's
And
right.
everybody else is saying something else. It's like you got to hold on so hard to you, and it's like hard. You would think it'd be easier. It's supposed to be our natural thing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, darling, I must let you go.
Thank you. Have
Thank
a
you
wonderful
so
night. I
much.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everyone has been a powerful teacher on today's show. As part of moving forward with this Living the Mystical Life Daily, we must learn to roll with the punches, to not be set in stone with only one sets of options. We must be that unlimited point of view so we don't argue for our limitations of one must be this way or one must be that way. So we're going to end the show for tonight. I am allowing myself to let down and have a beautiful Saturday night after a very long week of contemplating, processing, and moving through the ups and downs of life. I want to encourage anyone that's on the verge of wanting to sign up for the Living the Mystical Life Daily course. Here's your gentle nudge. Here's another show, and we've got 156 shows coming up for the year to help keep you motivated, moving forward, learning about yourself and others, to let go of martyrship and zealotry so that living the mystical life daily means something to you. Thanks a lot, everyone. We'll see you this coming Tuesday at 7 to 9. That'll be an open call-in show, 7 to 9 Pacific. Thanks a lot, everyone.